Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started on the Dharma talk, please join me in invoking our teacher's name 30 times. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So today we'll continue for part 2 on the four immeasurables. Last week I spoke on the four immeasurables. Just to give a quick summary, the four immeasurables are loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. So I spoke a little bit about them last week, and then today I'll speak on meditating on the four immeasurables. Which will help us systematically, practice the four immeasurables in our daily lives. So by practicing the four immeasurables, it's not something that we can just do by thinking about it or wanting to do or practice the four immeasurables. It is something we also have to meditate on. That way it kind of sticks and ingrains in our mind. That way when you go out into the world, it's a little bit easier to practice and see the opportunities to practice those four immeasurables. And then over time, hopefully the goal is to be naturally and habitually practicing those four immeasurables without even thinking about it or, asking or telling yourself that we have to go out and practice them. So the first immeasurable, which is loving kindness, I've already discussed meditating on loving kindness or loving kindness meditation or metta meditation pretty in detail previously, so I won't go too much into it. So I do recommend you go back. I believe it's spoken in two places. I've spoken about it in our meditation class. So you can search through our meditation class series on YouTube to find the discussion on loving kindness meditation. And I've also spoken about it a few weeks ago as well during one of our Sunday services. So because I've already spoken about it in detail for the most part, I won't go too much into it, but I will cover the general idea of meditation on loving kindness. So essentially, loving kindness meditation or metta meditation is extending love to all people, right? Traditionally, loving kindness meditation starts with us, right? So we have to extend love to ourselves first before we can kind of extend it to other people. So for loving kindness meditation specifically, there's a type of routine or ritual to it in a way. By stating a few phrases to yourself, for yourself and for others. So we always begin with ourselves, or at least for loving kindness, we want to begin with ourselves. So we can begin with phrases like, may I be happy, may I be safe, may I be free from suffering, may my mind be at ease. And there's different variations of the sentences, depending on where you're reading it from or who's teaching to you. But generally, it's may I be happy, may I be free from suffering, may my mind be at ease, and may I be healthy. So when we're meditating on loving kindness, we are saying those phrases for ourselves, right? So may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be free from suffering, may my mind be at ease. And you want to recite that at least 3 times, concentrating on yourself, visualizing yourself if needed. Next, you want to move on to someone that's very close to you. So it can be either your parents, a spouse, children, siblings, someone that you naturally love already, right? So you repeat those phrases. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be free from suffering. May their minds be at ease. And again, you want to repeat that a few times, concentrating on that person. After a loved one, you would move on to some close friends or casual friends, right? So you're kind of going from a high point of love and kind of trickling down the ladder of who you love the most, I guess, in a way. So you're concentrating on your friends, or even a neighbor, someone you know but may not be very close to, and you repeat those phrases about them, concentrating on them. Next, we want to concentrate on someone that may just be an acquaintance, right? Someone you really don't know. So it could be the mailman or the clerk at the grocery store or a neighbor or whomever, right? Someone you kind of really know just by name. And again, you're focusing those phrases on them. Next, we are going to do someone that you may dislike. In Buddhism, we don't necessarily have enemies, right? We have frenemies. So someone you may not like, right? So it could be a coworker, could be like an annoying neighbor or whomever. But again, we're extending that love to that person because regardless of how we feel about them, they still deserve the respect and love from us and from all people as well. So we want to concentrate on them too. After that, lastly, we want to spread this loving kindness to all sentient beings. So this covers everybody else in the spectrum. It also covers all animals, all species, everything that's a living being. We want to concentrate on them because our world works in holistically, right? We need certain animals and certain insects and certain species in order for our environment to kind of coexist, right? It's an ecosystem that we rely on other species and other beings, so we have to extend that love to them as well. And then you just want to repeat the whole process at least 3 times or so, right? So depending on how long you're sitting for your meditation for, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, you can trickle down the ladder, right? So it should take about maybe a minute or two for you to concentrate on each aspect or each person. So if it takes you about 5 minutes to kind of start from the very beginning to the end, then you know it's a 5-minute session, so you want to repeat it 2 or 3 times. That will give you an idea of how long your meditation session would be for. Next is meditating on compassion. So again, compassion is wanting beings to be free from suffering, right? So just like with loving kindness, where we want everyone to be free from suffering and be happy, we are meditating on compassion likewise. So again, we can use the same technique we use for loving kindness, right? So we can start with ourselves and with someone we love, our family members, our friends, and kind of go down the line. Essentially, working the same technique, and visualizing ourselves or visualizing them being happy and being free from suffering, right? We already have a natural tendency for this for our loved ones, for our parents and friends, right? We naturally want them to be happy and be free from suffering. So when we're meditating compassion, we're just extending that natural love we have for them to everybody else. And this really helps us. This would definitely help us now, right? Because, or just really in any time in history, right? Compassion is needed everywhere. Maybe sometimes more than others, like right now, right? So we are trying to extend compassion to everybody, regardless of who they are, what they are, where they're from, what they're doing, what their beliefs are, right? We are not discriminating on those people. We are just providing them and extending that compassion that we would have toward the people we love to everybody else. The whole concept, the whole idea of the 4 Immeasurables is to view people without discriminating. So we are wanting them to be happy. We are wanting to be free from suffering. We are wanting them to feel joy in their lives. We are wanting them. We want to see them. We want them to have equality like everyone else. So the 4 Immeasurables helps us build that mindset. That way we are discriminating less, we are judging less. The 4 Immeasurables takes away ill will. It takes away jealousy and aversion towards other people. Um, but like everything else, right, especially for meditation practices, it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take your will to actually want to practice those immeasurables, right? Um, and and so we use meditation to help us build that mindset. We want to develop those natural characteristics that we should already have. But unfortunately, we live in a world, in a society where we're molded and shaped to think in certain ways. And some of those ways may be bad habits, may be ingrained in our mind, and they're incorrect. So when we meditate on the four immeasurables or meditate on anything else, for the most part, we're helping develop those true characteristics, those positive characteristics, right? And trying to weed out the bad habits that we may have. Um, so after the compassion, right, we're extending compassion, and then now we're extending appreciative joy, or this joy, right? And so last week we spoke about appreciative joy as the feeling of feeling happy for others, for other people's success, for others people's joys, right? And one way where this becomes a little bit difficult for a lot of people is if we're thinking, maybe I used the example last week of a coworker that got promoted over you, right? That may for some have a natural tendency to be angry toward, right? They may be jealous, they may become hostile towards that person. So meditating on appreciative joy is taking away those characteristics, taking away those mindsets that we may have when that does happen, right? And it could be towards anybody. It could be we may still feel those negative feelings toward people we love, right? Even our own siblings when they're successful, right? Um, or just our family in general. So it doesn't just discriminate towards coworkers, right? It can be anybody. But sometimes those feelings are very subtle, right? Especially if it's for our loved ones, right? If it's our siblings that are becoming successful or happy, or even our friends, right? Maybe our friends with siblings are getting married, or they're graduating with a PhD, or got this huge job promotion. So even though it's people we love and care for, we still may have subtle feelings of jealousy and aversion toward them. So meditating on appreciative joy will help kind of get rid of those feelings. So that way, when we are celebrating, we truly are celebrating their happiness, and we're celebrating our happiness for them as well. So it makes things a little bit easier, hopefully. And then lastly, we are meditating on equanimity. So with equanimity, unlike with the other measurables where we focus on ourselves first or our loved ones first, with equanimity, it's better to um, meditate perhaps on a stranger, right? Because when we think of equanimity, what the measurable is seeing people equal to us, or to equal to people in general, right? Um, I think I used last week the example of a homeless person, right? When we naturally see a homeless person, we have this stereotype that they're lazy, that they're just these bums that are begging for money off of other people, right? But they may have a story behind it. They could have been a hugely successful person, or they may have been in the military and they've gone out, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their businesses, they've lost their families. So they're in a state where they truly, really just need our help. They just need um, the compassion from us and understanding from us, because they may have a story. It doesn't apply to all of them, obviously, um, but a lot of people truly do need our help. So meditating on equanimity helps us get rid of that negative veil that we have or stereotype that we have on against homeless people, and seeing them as people, just normal people that need our help, right? Um, because we may have this mindset that if we just give money to homeless people, then they're just going to go buy alcohol and drugs, right? And that may be the case for some people, for some of the homeless, but the majority of them really just need money to survive, right? They need money to buy food, to buy drink, to buy clothing, and some sort of shelter if necessary. So we have to get rid of that mindset that they're just going to use it for drugs and alcohol, because even if that's the case, that's really not our business. That's not our problem to think what they're going to do with it. We just need to get rid of the negative connotation that we have against homeless people and allow ourselves to just extend these immeasurables toward them, regardless of what they will do with the money if we provide them money, right? Um, and it's unfortunate that we may be in places where homeless people will decline taking food or drinks from people because people have put drugs in them, um, or worse things in these food and drinks, and really just made these people's lives much worse. And that's heartbreaking and such a tragedy, because then they may end up in worse places. They may even end up being arrested and in jail sometimes. Um, so we may want to help them feed themselves and drink themselves, but they may decline it because of past experiences, negative experiences. So what we can do at least is provide money if necessary, if we can, right? Or if we're in a place where it gets really cold during winter, then we may provide them jackets or blankets, something that will actually benefit them. But the whole point here is in equanimity is viewing people as equal, as human beings. So regardless of their race or their color or their gender or identity or age, we peel away those layers and see them as just human beings, as they truly are. Um, and this could be for people who are like us as well, right? So um, we want to practice equanimity for like our classmates and our coworkers and even our family and friends, right? They may think differently from us. They may have different views than us, um, or certain belief sets or mindsets. So it applies to anybody. It doesn't just apply to people who are necessarily completely different from you. They could be like you. They just have different mentalities or opinions. So meditating equanimity helps us take away those very small identities of those people and just see them as human, because we are all interrelated, we are all interconnected. um, so that's what we're really trying to dig into and see. um, so like I said, I'm going to keep this brief and short, because the meditation on the four immeasurables is fairly simple. It may be difficult, right? The concept of it is pretty simple, but meditating on them, it can be a little bit more difficult for certain people. But it is a practice that we need to regularly do. I can't say that word. Regularly do. So it's something that we have to make into a habit. We have to reprogram our minds, and seeing, right. Another meditation that I like to provide on top of the four measurables is a meditation on giving. In the past, I don't know if it was in a meditation class or during one of the services, um, but I gave a Dharma talk on generosity and on giving. And so meditation on giving specifically puts you in a state where I ask you to visualize yourself either in front of your home, right, at the front door of your home, or maybe even visualize you giving or having like a yard sale, right, or a garage sale. And I ask you to visualize random people coming up to you. So you can start out with friends and family, someone you know and love and trust. I want you to visualize them coming up to your door or coming up to the yard or the garage, whatever, and you giving them precious objects that you have, right? So it could be things that are important to you, like jewelry or even your cell phone or computer, right? Things that you would normally, things that you need and use and feel that are precious to you, right? And you visualize giving these items away. And just like with the measurables, where when you're focusing on yourself, your loved ones, family, friends, relatives, acquaintances, people that you dislike or your enemies, right? Same thing working. Same thing. You do the same thing with the meditation giving. So as people you know come and go, and you're giving them stuff, then you visualize on your neighbors coming, right? You visualize strangers coming to your door, homeless people coming to your door, people you don't know coming to your door, and you're giving them things you care for or you believe is precious to you. Um, and this is a very helpful meditation because it allows you to um, release some attachment you may have to possessions, right? Because we have this false thinking or identity or false perception that our name, our possessions, our titles, etc., are the things that give us identity, that give us our value in life, right? And that's definitely not the case. So the meditation giving helps us release those attachments and those desires that we have to material objects, material things, because as Buddhists, we practice impermanence, right? Everything's impermanent. So you may have everything you need in life right now. You may be highly successful and wealthy, but when we die, we can't take any of those things with us, right? So why fight over them so hard, right? Why stress over things that you believe you need in life, that you have to have, right? Our desire for more things is really just going to cause us more suffering. So the meditation on giving really helps us release those attachments and desires to materialistic things. Um, so I usually add that as a component to the meditation on the four measurables, and that way it gives us a holistic practice to remove this ill will and cruelty and jealousy and clinging and attachment and aversion to things and people. So that is my talk on meditating on the four measurables. Hopefully we can utilize that. We won't have a meditation session during these Sunday services now, so I encourage you to practice this meditation. After the service, we will do chanting now, our general chant. So if you have a book, please join me in the chanting, or you can download the chants from our website. That way you can chant along. And then next week, hopefully I'll have teacher and give us a Dharma talk, since we haven't heard from him in quite some time. So I'll ask him to provide a Dharma talk next week. We are still working on our new shrine. The construction is still going slowly. We are trying to look around for funds to complete it. It's about 70-ish% complete, at least from the outside. It's almost complete. And then we're just missing some of the interior stuff. So we do appreciate any dana or donation you may provide to the temple to be helpful, so we can hopefully complete the shrine by the end of the summer. And hopefully by then, once we have our inauguration ceremony, things COVID-wise have slowed down, at least enough where we can have a gathering and have a ceremony, public ceremony. So we will continue to pray and practice so we are able to complete the shrine. and have everything back to at least semi-normal and have our Sangha together again. So we'll go ahead and transfer the merit and go on to chanting. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha, Namo Shakyamuni Buddha, Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. For any positive karmic action we have accumulated here today, we wish to transfer the merit to all sentient beings and wish them full enlightenment. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. Listenless, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. The incense in the censer now is burning, all the Dharma realm in every place. Just clouds appearing, our sincere intention thus fulfilling, as all Buddhas now show their body homage to the incense cloud canopy, Bodhisattva and great Bodhisattvas. In gratitude we offer this incense to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas throughout space, and may it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting full efforts, our wholehearted mindfulness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings, companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, may we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Homage to the eternally abiding Buddhas, the supreme Dharma insatiably sung throughout the Dharma realm and the realm of empty space in 3 periods of time. Homage to the eternally abiding. Homage to the fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Maitreya, honored future Buddha, Manjushri, great wisdom Bodhisattva, universal great conduct Bodhisattva, all Dharma guarding Deva Bodhisattvas, and the magic mountain assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Homage Vishu Amitabha Buddha in the land of ultimate bliss. Avalokiteshvara, great compassion, Bodhisattva, great strength, Bodhisattva, earth sword, great vow, Bodhisattva, and the assembly of great purity like Bodhisattvas. The great compassion mantra with 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes on our knee runs like this. Namo Ratna Jayaya Namo Hanya Avalokiteshvaraya Bodhisattvaya Mahasattvaya Mahakarunikaya Om Sarva Lavadi Sudana Sasya Namaskeshvana Manarya Avalokiteshvara Nandava Namo Nilakanta Shimahabhata Shami Sarva Shubhamashiyam Sarva Sarva Namo Vatava Namo Bhagama Vatetu Taryata Om Avaloka Kalati Shiri Mahabodhisattva Savo Savo Mara Mara Mashima Shirida Yogoro Yandoro Doro Bashati Mahabashati Dara Dara Diri Nishvaraya Jala Jala Mahab Modela Hiya Hishina Shina Hala Shinbala Shari Basha Vasin Barashaya Oholoshi Sara Sara Siri Siri Soro Soro Bodaya 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 Maitraya Nara Sharana Baya Mani Swaha Setaya Swaha Maha Setaya Swaha Setaya Yeshwaraya Swaha Te Swaha Pranila Swaha Shisimha Hokaya Swaha Sarva Maha Hasaya Swaha Chakra Hasaya Swaha Shaya Swaha Nila Kantim Pantalaya Swaha Mohori Shankaraya Swaha Namo Ratna Trayaya Namo Haryam Shvaraya Swaha Om Sedyanto Mudravadaya Swaha. The Dharma body is bringing morning light in concentration. My heart is at peace, a half smile is born on my lips. This is a new day, and I vow to go through it in mindfulness. The sun of wisdom shining in every direction. Noble Sangha, diligently bring your mind into meditation. Namo Shakyamuni Bodhaya. Kyamunaye Bodhaya Namo Shakyamuni Bodhaya. The one who bows and the one who is bowed to are both by nature empty. Therefore the communication between them is inexpressibly perfect. Our practice center is on reflecting all Buddhas everywhere, as my own person reflects in all Buddhas, to whom in my whole life I go for refuge. Offering light in the 10 directions, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, to whom we bow in gratitude. Teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion. Shakyamuni Buddha, the cutting through ignorance, awakening our hearts and our minds. Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of great understanding, to whom we bow in gratitude. Working mindfully, working joyfully for the sake of all beings, Samanta Bhadra, the Bodhisattva of great action, to whom we bow in gratitude. Responding to suffering, serving beings in countless ways, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of great compassion, to whom we bow in gratitude. Seed of awakening and loving kindness in children, sprouts, and all beings, Maitreya, the Bodhisattva, to be born, to whom we bow in gratitude. Showing the way fearlessly and compassionately, the stream of all our ancestral teachers, to whom we bow in gratitude. The Dharma is deep and lovely, we now have a chance to see it and practice it. We vow to realize our true meaning. The heart of Prajna Paramita, the Bodhisattva Avalokita, while moving in the deep course of perfect understanding. The five skandhas and found them equally empty. After this penetration, he overcame ill-being. Listen, Shariputra, emptiness is form. Form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness is not other than form. The same is true with feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Listen, Shari. As are marked with emptiness, they are neither produced nor destroyed, neither defiled nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore, in emptiness, form nor feelings, no perceptions nor mental formations nor consciousness, no eye or ear or nose or tongue nor body or mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no realms of elements, no interdependent origins, and no extinction of them, no will-being, no cause of ill-being, no end of ill-being, no understanding, and no attainment. Because there is no attainment, the Bodhisattvas grounded in perfect understanding find no obstacles for their minds. Come fear liberating themselves forever from illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. All Buddhas in the past, present, and future arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. Therefore, one should standing is the highest mantra, the unequaled mantra, the destroyer of ill-being, the incorruptible truth. The mantra of Prajna Paramita should therefore be proclaimed. Gate gate para gate para sam gate. Gate gate para gate para sam gate bodhi swaha. Gate gate para gate para sam gate bodhi swaha. We invoke your name, Avalokiteshvara. We aspire to learn your way of listening in order to help relieve the suffering in the world. You know how to listen in order to understand. We invoke your name in order to practice listening with all our attention and open-heartedness. We will sit and listen without any prejudice. We will sit and listen without judging or reacting. We will sit and listen in order to understand. Listen so attentively that we will be able to hear what the other person is saying and also what is being often said. We know that listening deeply, we already alleviate a great deal of pain and suffering in the other person. We invoke your name, Manjushri. We aspire to learn your way, which is to be still and to look deeply into the heart of things and into the hearts of people. We will look with all our and open-heartedness. We will look with unprejudiced eyes. We will look without judging or reacting. We will look deeply so that we will be able to see and understand the roots of suffering through the impermanent and selfless nature of all that is. Practice our way of using the sword of understanding to cut through the bonds of suffering, thus freeing ourselves and other species. We invoke your Samanta Bhadra, we aspire to learn your vow wishes, to act with the eyes and heart of compassion, to bring joy to one person in the morning and to ease the pain of one person in the afternoon. Happiness of others is our own happiness, and we aspire to practice joy on the path of service. We know that every word, every look, every action, and every smile can bring to others. We know that if we practice wholeheartedly, we ourselves may become an inexhaustible source of peace and joy for ones and for all species. We invoke your name, Shiti Gadra. We aspire to learn your way of being present where there is darkness, suffering, oppression, and despair, so we can bring light, hope, relief, and liberation. Places we are determined not to forget about or abandon those in desperate situations. We will do our best to establish those who cannot find a way out of their suffering, those whose cries for help, justice, equality, and not being heard. We know that help can be found in many places on earth. We will do our best not to contribute to creating more hells on earth. The hells that already exist we will practice in order to realize the qualities of perseverance and stabilities. The earth we can always be supportive and faithful to those in need. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Sangha, Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. Refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. In the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge, Sangha, shining light, me keeping my practice free of obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha, in myself I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realize mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma, in myself I aspire to people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Refuge in the Sangha, in myself I aspire. All people build fourfold communities to embrace all beings and transformation. Reciting the sutras, practicing the way of awareness gives rise to benefits without limits. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. Vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance for the longer path.